How does a boy from a broken home caught between two different worlds rise to become the most powerful leader on the planet? This is the incredible story of Barack Obama, and if you want to improve your English with more inspiring stories like this, subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss our next video. Are you ready to be inspired? Today, we have the amazing story of a man who faced huge challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. But he never, ever gave up. His name is Barack Obama. He went from a boy with a difficult childhood to become the 44th President of the United States. His life shows the world that with hard work, with determination, and with a strong belief in yourself, you really can achieve anything. This story will take you through his early years, his struggles, his dreams, and all the people who helped him along the way. It's a powerful story about overcoming obstacles and fighting for a better future. So find a comfortable place, relax, and let's begin. Barack Hussein. Obama was born on August 4, 1961. He was born in the beautiful state of Hawaii, a group of islands in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. It was a place of warm sunshine and blue water. But even though he was born in the United States, his story really begins in a very different place. In fact, it begins in two different places far across the world from each other. His father, Barack Obama Sr., came from a country called Kenya in East Africa, and his mother, Stanley Ann Dunham, was from the state of Kansas in the United States. They came from completely different worlds. His parents met while his father was studying in Hawaii. It was a special connection. But soon after Barack was born, his parents separated. It was a sad and difficult time. His father returned to Kenya to continue his work there. From the very beginning, Barack's life was full of challenges. His father was now far, far away, living in another country, and his mother was very busy working hard all by herself to raise him. Despite these challenges, Barack grew up with an extraordinary sense of hope. He had a powerful ambition inside of him. He always dreamed of a better life, even when things were not easy. When Barack was just a small child, his father would send him letters from Kenya. Of course, Barack was too young to understand everything his father wrote, but he would treasure these letters. He held on to them. They became a symbol of the love his father had for him, even from so far away. Barack grew up knowing that his father was an important figure in his life, a part of who he was, even though he didn't have the chance to be with him very much. While Barack's father wasn't physically there, he had other strong and loving influences in his life. His mother, Ann Dunham, was a woman of incredible strength and wisdom. She worked so hard to support Barack, making sure that he had everything he needed to have a good life and to succeed. Ann was not just his mother. She was his first teacher, his guide, and his biggest supporter. She taught him to be curious about the world, to always ask questions, and to truly believe that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Ann's amazing work ethic and her deep belief in education were some of the most powerful lessons she passed on to her son. She showed him the value of working hard every single day. She taught him the power that comes from learning. As a child, Barack's world wasn't filled with many expensive things, but he had everything that truly mattered. He had love. He had attention. And he had the belief planted in his heart by his mother that he could one day change the world. Besides his mother, Barack was also greatly influenced by his grandparents. They played a huge role in his life. His grandfather was a tough man, a man who worked hard his entire life and never ever gave up. His grandmother was a kind and gentle woman who always took care of others. Together they helped his mother raise Barack. They gave him a sense of stability, a feeling of being safe and loved. His grandparents were the ones who made sure he had food to eat and clothes to wear. They supported him in everything he did, cheering him on from the sidelines. Even though Barack grew up without his father in the house, he didn't feel like he was missing out. He didn't focus on what he didn't have. Instead, he learned to appreciate the people who were all around him, the people who supported him and loved him every single day. From them, Barack learned that family is not just about blood. It's about the people who care for you, the people who help you, and the people who encourage you to follow your dreams. Barack Obama's story is not just one of overcoming family struggles. It is also a story about identity and about race. As a young boy, Barack didn't quite fit into the world around him. He felt different. Because his father was African and his mother was American, Barack found himself in the middle of two very different cultures. He was often the only black student in his school, and this sometimes made him feel like an outsider, like he didn't truly belong. People would often ask him questions that were hard to answer. They would ask, "Where are you from?" or "What's your background?" This was a difficult thing for young Barack, because deep down, he didn't feel fully connected to either side of his heritage. He didn't fit perfectly into the black community because he didn't grow up in Africa, and he didn't fit perfectly into the white community because of his African roots. For a long time, Barack struggled with his identity. He felt a sense of confusion. He didn't know where he belonged. But instead of letting this confusion define him, instead of letting it make him feel lost, Barack decided to embrace his differences. He chose to see them not as a weakness, but as a strength. He started to understand that his unique background, being part of two worlds, could actually help him bring people together, no matter their race or their background. He learned that the world needed more people who could build bridges between different groups, people who could create understanding between different cultures. This important lesson would guide him for the rest of his life. Barack Obama always had big dreams. As a young boy, he wasn't sure exactly how he would achieve them, but he knew one thing for sure: education was the key. He understood that learning would open doors for him. So he worked very hard in school, and he excelled in his studies. But even with all of his efforts, things weren't always easy for Barack. He faced discrimination because of his race. He faced doubts from other people. And he faced the same obstacles that many young people face when they come from tough backgrounds. Yet Barack's resilience always shone through. His ability to bounce back from difficulty was remarkable. He didn't let these challenges stop him. After finishing high school in Hawaii, Barack made a big decision. He moved to the mainland United States to attend Occidental College in California. It was a huge step for him. He was leaving behind his family, his home, and the familiar world of Hawaii. But Barack was ready. He was hungry to grow, to learn, and to experience the wider world. This was the start of a brand new chapter in his life. At Occidental College, Barack was exposed to a whole new world of ideas and people. He met students from many different backgrounds with many different stories. He began to see the world in new and interesting ways. But he also began to feel the pressure of living up to the high expectations he had set for himself. Barack knew that in order to achieve his big dreams, he had to push himself even harder. He had to work smarter, and he must never, ever give up. So he transferred to Columbia University in New York City, which is one of the top universities in the United States. This was another big challenge for Barack. New York City was a fast-paced, busy, and sometimes overwhelming place. Barack had to adjust to life in a huge city so different from the quiet islands of Hawaii. But he wasn't afraid. He was determined to succeed. At Columbia, Barack studied political science. This subject, which is the study of governments and how they work, would later influence his future career in very important ways. He became more and more interested in the big issues affecting society problems like racial inequality and poverty. He saw how many people were struggling in the world, and he felt a deep desire to help them. Barack began to understand that education wasn't just about getting a degree or a good job. It was about using your knowledge to make the world a better place. After completing his studies at Columbia, Barack moved to Chicago. There, he took a job as a community organizer. This was a very important and challenging job. It took him into some of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Barack's work was not easy at all. It required him to meet with people every day, to sit with them, and to listen to their problems. He then had to find ways to bring about change. He worked long hours, and he faced many challenges. At first, people were skeptical. They had seen politicians and organizers come and go before. They wondered if this young man could really make a difference. But Barack knew that he had to stay strong. He didn't give up on them. He believed in the power of ordinary people coming together to change their own world. Barack faced so many difficulties as a community organizer. Some people didn't believe that things could ever change. They had lost hope. Others were too caught up in their own daily struggles to listen to him. But Barack believed in something more powerful. He believed that together people could make a real difference. He worked tirelessly day after day to improve the lives of the people in Chicago. He helped them fight for better housing, better schools for their children, and better jobs. This section of Barack Obama's early life is filled with challenges, but through them, he learned incredibly valuable lessons. He learned the true importance of education. He learned the power of community, of people working together. And he learned about the strength that comes from belief. His story shows us that no matter where we come from or how difficult our situation may be, we can always fight for a better future. Barack Obama's time as a community organizer in Chicago laid the foundation for everything that came after. His work in the neighborhoods of Chicago wasn't just about helping people with their immediate problems. It was much deeper than that. It was about teaching them to believe in themselves. It was about showing them that they could make a difference in their own lives and that together they could change the world around them. But Barack knew that in order to make an even bigger impact, a bigger change, he would need to do something even greater. He realized that to truly help on a large scale, he needed to enter the world of politics. Barack's decision to run for political office didn't come easily. He thought about it for a long time. He knew that the road ahead would be very tough. He was still young. He was black, and he had no real political experience. But he had something that many other politicians didn't have. He had a deep personal understanding of the struggles that ordinary people faced every day. He had a connection to their lives because he had listened to them. He knew how important it was for someone in power to truly listen to the people. In 1996, Barack ran for the Illinois State Senate. This was his very first step into the world of politics, and he knew it wouldn't be easy. He faced strong opponents, people who had more experience and much more money for their campaigns. But Barack had one thing. They didn't have a powerful vision for the future. He believed that he could help create a government that truly worked for the people, especially for those who had been forgotten or left behind by the system. His campaign was very different from most political campaigns. Instead of focusing on flashy advertisements on TV or expensive events, Barack focused on talking directly to the people. He walked from door to door. He visited people in their homes. He sat in their living rooms and listened to their concerns. He wanted to understand their pain, their hopes, and their dreams. He wanted them to know that he cared about them and that he was fighting for their future. And against all the odds, Barack won the election. He became a state senator in Illinois. This was just the beginning of his political journey. He used his new position to pass laws that helped improve health care for families, provide better education for children, and support the poor. He worked with both Republicans and Democrats, the two major political parties. He believed that the best way to solve big problems was to bring people together, not to divide them. But even though he was having success in Illinois, Barack knew that he needed to do more. He was starting to feel that in order to really make a massive difference, he needed to reach a national audience. He needed to be on a bigger stage. So he made another brave decision. He decided to run for the United States Senate in 2004. Before Barack officially ran for the U.S. Senate, he was invited to give a speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. This one speech would change his life forever. At the time, Barack was a relatively unknown candidate outside of Illinois. But when he stepped onto that big stage, something magical happened. He began to speak, and his voice connected not just with the people in the audience, but with the hearts of millions of people watching from their homes all across America. His speech was powerful. It was hopeful, and it was full of a message of unity. He spoke about the future of America, a future where everyone, no matter their background, could have an equal opportunity to succeed. He said some very famous words that night. He said, "There's not a liberal America and a conservative America. There's the United States of America." These words struck a chord with people across the country. They felt the truth in what he was saying. He talked about bridging the divides in the country, about closing the gaps between people. He urged everyone to focus on what united them, not on what divided them. The speech was a moment of pure hope for the nation. And it showed the world that Barack Obama wasn't just another politician. He was a true leader, someone who could inspire real change. That speech was a major turning point in his career. It put him on the national map. It made people from all over the country believe that he could one day lead the nation. Barack's message of unity, hope, and change resonated with people from all walks of life. It gave them hope that things could be different, that politics didn't have to be so angry and divided. In 2004, Barack Obama won the election for the U.S. Senate. Now he was serving in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. Here, he had the opportunity to make an even bigger impact on the country. His time in the Senate allowed him to work on very important national issues like healthcare, government ethics, and ending the war in Iraq. Barack used his position not just to pass laws, but to inspire a new generation of leaders to fight for justice and equality. One of the most important things that Barack Obama did during his time in the Senate was to fight for what would become the Affordable Care Act. He believed that everyone, absolutely everyone, deserved to have access to health care, no matter how much money they had. This was a bold and controversial stance, and many people didn't agree with him. But Barack was determined. He spoke with passion about how health care was a basic human right. After years of hard work, he helped create a law that would eventually give millions of Americans access to health insurance. But Barack wasn't just focused on the big national issues. He also worked on smaller things that could make a big difference in people's lives. He helped pass laws to improve education, to make the criminal justice system fairer, and to protect the environment. He became known for his special ability to bring people together to get them to work on problems even when they disagreed. He didn't just want to be a politician who passed laws. He wanted to be a leader who made the world a better, fairer place. As Barack continued to serve in the Senate, his popularity grew and grew. More and more people started to believe that he could be the next president of the United States. But running for president was not an easy decision to make. Barack knew the road to the White House would be incredibly tough. There would be criticism. There would be attacks from his opponents. There would be huge obstacles. But he also knew that this was his chance to make the biggest change of all, to fight for a better America for everyone. In 2007, Barack officially announced that he was running for president. He faced many challenges in his campaign, especially because he was running against Hillary Clinton, who was a very well-known figure with a lot of support. People doubted whether he could win. He was young. He didn't have decades of political experience. And some people sadly didn't believe a black man could ever become president. But Barack had something that no one else had: a powerful, unwavering belief that change was possible. He believed that America could be better, and he knew that the only way to make that happen was by inspiring people to get involved. He didn't just want to win an election. He wanted to give people hope. He wanted them to believe that they could be a part of the change. Barack traveled all across the country, meeting people from all walks of life. He listened to their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. He gave speeches that inspired thousands upon thousands of people. His message of hope and unity started to resonate with people of all races, all ages, and all backgrounds. They were tired of politics as usual. They wanted change. And they saw that Barack Obama was the man who could lead them there. On November 4, 2008, Barack Obama made history. He won the presidential election. He became the first black president of the United States, a moment that many people thought would never ever come in their lifetime. It was a victory not just for Barack, but for everyone who believed in a better, more equal America. When he stood on the stage in Grant Park, Chicago on that election night, Barack Obama made a powerful speech, one that would go down in history. He thanked his supporters, his family, and everyone who had worked so hard. He promised to work for all the people, even those who didn't vote for him. He talked about the long road ahead, the difficult challenges that would come, and how by working together, the country could overcome them. Barack's victory was more than just a political achievement. It was a symbol of hope. It was a symbol of the possibility that anything is possible if you work hard enough and believe in your dreams. It showed the world that the future could be different. And it inspired millions of people to believe in themselves and in the power of change. After Barack Obama's historic victory in the 2008 presidential election, the world was filled with a sense of hope and excitement. He had promised to bring change to America, and people truly believed he was the leader who could make that happen. But as soon as he entered the White House, he faced an enormous number of challenges. The country was in the middle of a terrible financial crisis. Wars were still raging in Iraq and Afghanistan, and millions of people were struggling to find work and make ends meet. It was a time of great uncertainty, and the expectations on Barack were enormous. But Barack was determined to fulfill his promises. He knew that the road ahead would be incredibly difficult, but he also knew that the American people needed someone who believed in the possibility of a better future. He was ready to face the challenges head-on and to lead the country through these tough times. When Barack Obama took office on January 20, 2009, he inherited one of the worst economic crises in American history. The Great Recession had left millions of people unemployed. The housing market was collapsing, and major banks were failing. People were scared. They didn't know how they would pay their bills or feed their families. It was a time of deep fear. Barack and his team quickly took action. He passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, a large bill designed to inject money into the economy and create new jobs. He worked to stabilize the financial system and prevent a complete collapse. He also began working on his long-term goals of reforming healthcare, education, and energy. Barack didn't just want to fix the immediate problems. He wanted to build a stronger foundation for long-term success, a foundation where every single American had a fair chance to succeed. But his efforts were met with fierce opposition. Many Republicans and even some Democrats disagreed with his approach. They criticized him for the amount of money the government was spending. Some believed he was doing too much too quickly. Others argued that his policies were leading the country in the wrong direction. But Barack remained calm and focused. His goal was to help the people no matter the political obstacles. One of the most significant achievements of his first term was the Affordable Care Act, which many people call Obamacare. This complex law aimed to provide health care for millions of Americans who did not have insurance. It was a very bold move, and it faced strong opposition from many sides. But Barack believed that health care was a basic human right, not a privilege. He fought for it even when others said it was impossible. After months and months of debate and negotiation, the law finally passed. It changed the lives of millions of people across the country. It wasn't a perfect law, and there were many who disagreed with it, but Barack's commitment to his vision showed the country that he was willing to fight for what he believed was right. While Barack Obama worked on these big domestic issues at home, he also faced significant challenges abroad. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were ongoing, and Barack knew that he needed to find a way to end them. He had promised to bring the troops home, but the process was very complicated. He had to balance the nation's security with the need to protect the lives of American soldiers and civilians. Over time, he began to reduce the number of American troops in both countries, but the wars continued to be a controversial and difficult part of his presidency. Barack also faced serious tensions with countries like Iran and North Korea. These nations were pursuing nuclear weapons which posed a threat to the world. Barack had to figure out how to handle these threats. He often chose diplomacy over military action. He preferred to talk and negotiate to create peaceful solutions. One example of this was the Iran nuclear deal in 2015, where Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of economic sanctions. While many people around the world supported this deal, others argued that it didn't go far enough to stop Iran's ambitions. One of the most dramatic and controversial moments of Barack's presidency came in 2011. The United States carried out a secret military mission that killed Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the September 11th terrorist attacks. The operation was a success, and many Americans celebrated. They felt a sense of justice. However, it also raised difficult questions about the ethics of such an operation. Some people praised Barack for bringing justice to the victims of 9/11, while others questioned the use of military force in another country without its permission. Barack's decision to approve the mission was a powerful reminder that leadership often involves making difficult and sometimes unpopular choices. Barack's second term as president was marked by both progress and setbacks. He had already achieved a lot during his first 4 years, but now he faced the challenge of securing his legacy and dealing with an even more divided political landscape. In 2013, Barack faced one of the biggest battles of his presidency, a government shutdown. The Republican-controlled Congress refused to pass a budget unless Barack agreed to defund the Affordable Care Act. The situation became very tense, and for a short time, parts of the government were forced to close. But Barack refused to back down. He stood firm on his beliefs, and the government eventually reopened. This struggle highlighted the deep political divisions in the country, but it also showed the strength of Barack's leadership. He was not afraid to fight for what he believed in, even when it was not easy. Another major moment in Barack's second term was his strong stance on climate change. In 2015, he helped to broker the Paris Climate Agreement. This was a historic deal signed by nearly every country in the world aimed at reducing global carbon emissions and combating climate change. Many world leaders praised the agreement, but it was also controversial at home. Critics argued that the deal would harm the American economy, while supporters said it was absolutely necessary to protect the planet for future generations. Barack's commitment to addressing climate change was a defining part of his presidency. It showed that he was thinking not just about the present, but about the future of our world. But even as he fought for progress, Barack faced new challenges at home. In 2016, he had to deal with the rise of Donald Trump, a businessman and television personality who was running for president. Trump's campaign was based on divisive rhetoric, and he promised to undo many of the policies that Barack had worked so hard to put in place. As the election approached, it became clear that the country was deeply divided. Barack knew that his successor would have a very difficult task ahead of them. Throughout his presidency, Barack Obama's speeches were often powerful and full of hope. However, some of his words also sparked controversy. One of the most famous controversial speeches came back in 2008 when Barack talked about bitter Americans who cling to guns or religion. The comment was meant to highlight the frustrations of people living in difficult economic conditions, but many people interpreted it as an insult to hard-working religious Americans. Barack quickly apologized, but the incident remained a part of the narrative surrounding his presidency. Another moment that caused controversy was his stance on race relations. Throughout his presidency, Barack spoke out about issues of race and inequality in America. His words were often powerful and inspiring, but they also sometimes caused division. In 2009, when an African-American professor named Henry Louis Gates was arrested in his own home by a white police officer, Barack famously said that the police had acted stupidly. His comment sparked a national debate about race and law enforcement, and it highlighted the deep racial tensions that still existed in the country. Barack's speeches on race were often aimed at bringing people together and fostering understanding. But they were not always well received by everyone. Some people believed that he was too focused on race, while others felt that he wasn't doing enough to address racial injustice. But Barack continued to speak out, knowing that his words had the power to start important conversations and spark change. Barack Obama's presidency was full of immense challenges, but it was also full of triumphs. He fought for healthcare reform, for climate change action, and for economic recovery. He made history by becoming the first African-American president, and he showed the world that anything is possible, no matter where you come from. He left office in January 2017, but his influence is still felt today. Many of the policies he put in place are still in effect, and his legacy continues to inspire people all around the world. He showed that leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about fighting for what's right even when the road ahead is tough. He believed that change was possible, and he proved that with hard work, dedication, and a belief in the goodness of people, anything can happen. Barack Obama's story is not just one of political success. It's a story of hope, of resilience, and of the power of believing in a better future. He showed us that no matter the obstacles we face, we can overcome them with determination and a commitment to justice. His life is a reminder that true leadership is not about power. It's about serving the people and fighting for what's right. After Barack Obama left office in January 2017, many people wondered what would he do next. The world had seen him as a president for 8 long years, and he had left an unforgettable mark on the nation. People admired his leadership, his calm in times of crisis, and his deep commitment to fighting for equality and justice. But his story wasn't over. Even after stepping down from the most powerful position in the world, Barack Obama's influence didn't just disappear. In fact, his post-presidency years have become a testament to his continued dedication to service to progress and to the greater good. One of Barack Obama's first major projects after leaving the White House was the creation of the Obama Foundation. This foundation was designed to inspire and empower the next generation of leaders. Barack's vision was very clear. He wanted to create a space where young people from all around the world could come together, learn from one another, and work on solutions to the problems facing their own communities. The foundation focuses on several key areas, including leadership development, global engagement, and community building. Barack believes that young people are the key to solving the world's biggest challenges. He often speaks about how the future belongs to them and that they have the power to create positive change. Through programs like the Obama Foundation, Scholars Program, young leaders are given the tools and opportunities they need to make a real difference, whether it's in their home countries or on a global scale. Barack has always said that his greatest hope for the future is not just to leave a legacy of laws and policies, but to leave a legacy of empowerment. He wants to ensure that the next generation knows how to lead with empathy, with understanding, and with a commitment to justice. Through his foundation, he is planting the seeds for a better tomorrow, one that will continue to grow long after he is gone. Since leaving the presidency, Barack Obama has traveled the world speaking out on a variety of global issues. His messages are always centered on unity, on hope, and on the belief that we are all connected as human beings. He has spoken about climate change, the importance of democracy, and the need for strong, compassionate leadership in times of crisis. One of the most powerful speeches he gave after his presidency was at the Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture in South Africa in 2018. In his speech, Barack spoke about the dangers of polarization and division in society. He warned that when people allow fear and hatred to rule, they risk losing the very things that make a country strong: unity, tolerance, and the belief in the potential for progress. Barack also spoke about the importance of democracy. He encouraged people, especially the younger generation, to get involved in their communities and their political processes. He reminded them that democracy is not just about voting in elections. It's about standing up for what is right, fighting for justice, and working towards a society that values equality for all. Barack's words have resonated with people all around the world, and they continue to inspire those who are fighting for human rights, for climate justice, and for democracy. He uses his platform not to seek attention for himself, but to highlight the struggles of those who need a voice, the marginalized, the oppressed, and the forgotten. Barack Obama has also dedicated a large part of his post-presidency years to writing. His memoir, A Promised Land, was published in 2020, and it quickly became a bestseller around the globe. The book offers an inside look at his time in office, his struggles and triumphs, and the core values that guided him throughout his presidency. But the memoir is more than just a political history. It's a deeply personal reflection on what it means to lead, to serve, and to make incredibly difficult decisions. Barack shared his fears, his doubts, and the moments when he questioned whether he was doing the right thing. But through it all, he never lost his belief in the power of hope, of change, and of service. He writes about the moments when he felt the immense weight of the presidency, but also about the moments of joy and accomplishment that reminded him of why he had taken on the role in the first place. In the book, Barack reflects on his family and the great sacrifices they made while he served in office. He speaks of his wife, Michelle Obama, with deep admiration and love. He describes her as his source of strength and wisdom. Michelle had always been his biggest supporter, but she also became a powerful leader in her own right, using her platform to advocate for girls' education, health, and empowerment. Barack often credits Michelle for being a constant reminder of what matters most in life: love, family, and the importance of helping others. The book also explores the unique challenges of being the first African American president and how those challenges shaped his worldview. He reflects on the moments when he was accused of not doing enough for the African American community, and how he dealt with criticism that came from both the left and the right. He writes honestly about the frustrations of working within a system that often seemed resistant to change, but also about the moments when he saw real progress and felt that he was truly making a difference. Throughout his entire career, Barack Obama has always been guided by his faith. He has spoken often about how his Christian beliefs have shaped his views on justice, on equality, and on service to others. For Barack, faith is not just about religion. It's about living a life of integrity and doing what's right even when it's difficult. One of the most powerful and moving moments of his presidency was when he spoke about the tragic shooting of 9 African Americans at the Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015. During his eulogy for the victims, in a moment of profound grief and grace, Barack began to sing the hymn, "Amazing Grace." It was a moment that moved millions of people around the world. His voice was shaky, and he appeared deeply emotional. But in that moment, Barack embodied everything he had always stood for: compassion, healing, and hope. Barack Obama's faith continues to guide him today as he speaks out on issues of racial justice, equality, and human rights. He uses his platform to advocate for those who are struggling and to remind people that change is possible. But it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a deep belief in the goodness of humanity. While Barack Obama has been widely celebrated for his leadership, he has also faced his share of criticism. There are those who argue that his presidency didn't go far enough on important issues like healthcare, racial equality, and income inequality. Others criticize him for not being able to bring about the level of transformative change that many had hoped for. However, Barack remains confident that he did the best he could with the circumstances he faced. He acknowledges that not every decision was perfect and that there were, of course, moments of failure. But he also believes that leadership is about moving forward even when things are tough. He teaches us that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and continue to push for progress. As we come to the end of Barack Obama's incredible journey, it's important to reflect not just on the milestones and the triumphs, but on the powerful lessons his life teaches us. His story is not just about politics or policies or even the White House. It's about the power of resilience, the belief in change, and the endless potential that lies within each and every one of us to make a difference. Barack Obama's path wasn't always easy. He faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. He faced racial discrimination, doubt from others, and obstacles that many people would never even imagine. But what set him apart was his unwavering belief that anything is possible if you are willing to work for it, to fight for it, and to believe in it with all your heart. His life proves that no matter where you come from or what obstacles you face, you have the power to shape your own future. One of the most powerful messages Barack Obama has shared with the world is this: don't wait for the world to change, be the change. It's easy to look at all the problems in the world and feel overwhelmed. It's easy to think that one person can't possibly make a difference. But Barack has shown us that small actions, when added together, lead to big changes. Every single step you take towards progress, no matter how small it seems, adds up to something huge. Barack's story teaches us that leadership is not about being in charge. It's about empowering others. Leadership is about inspiring people to believe in themselves, to believe in the possibility of a better future, and to take action to make that future a reality. Every one of us has the ability to be a leader in our families, in our communities, in our jobs, and in our daily lives. So what does Barack Obama's legacy mean for you? It means that you are capable of more than you think. You have the power to create change, to face your fears, to overcome obstacles, and to never ever give up on your dreams. His life is a constant reminder that even in the darkest of moments, there is always light. Even when the world tells you no, you can still find the strength to say yes. Barack Obama didn't let his circumstances define him. He refused to accept the limitations that others tried to place on him. He pushed forward when things were difficult, and he remained true to his values even when the world didn't agree with him. And because of that, he achieved things that many people thought were simply impossible. Now it's your turn. The world needs you. The world needs your voice, your ideas, and your unique perspective. It needs you to be brave, to take action, and to keep moving forward even when it seems hard. No dream is too big, and no challenge is too great. Your journey is just beginning, and it is full of amazing possibilities. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to make a difference. The next time you face an obstacle, think of Barack Obama. Think of his belief in hope in change and in the power of people to create a better world. And most importantly, believe in yourself. You have the power to change your life and the lives of those around you. Your future is in your hands, and like Barack Obama, you too can leave a legacy that inspires generations to come. So rise up, take that first step, and never stop believing. The world is waiting for you. Thank you for listening.